everybody, Floppy Waffle 69 here, and today's video we are continuing our Down the Line series coming to the Tier 7 light cruiser, the Helena. The Helena, what is there to talk about the Helena? With the Helena, there's two versions of the Helena in game. You have the Tech Line cruiser, which you find here before you at Tier 7 in the Tech Line going down to the Worcester. And you also have her sister ship, which is the Boise, which is the premium variant of the Helena. And there are some slight differences between the two. The main one you have to know is that the Boise is a little bit more of an aggressive cruiser. It can get away with a little bit more, as it does, I believe, have a super heal, which is going to allow it to stay in the fight for a little bit longer. Though there are some offsetting factors and some trades it has to do in order to acquire that heal. One being that it goes down to 13.6 kilometer range, and it does have a longer reload from 8.5 here on the Helena, up to 10-second reload for the Boise. But we're not here to review and basically review the Boise. We are going to be comparing it to the Helena, as obviously it makes the most sense to do so. But we're here to do a review and a deep dive analysis here on the Helena. That is the objective and the goal on this video. And 15 guns of 152 millimeters, going down range every 8.5 seconds to a max range of 14.6 kilometers with an insanely high fire chance, clocking in at 12%. But that's really not the highlighting factor, not the 12%. It's the fires per minute, as you have 15 shells. So you're clocking in a fires per minute around 12.7, and if you put the signal flags with the demolition expert skill to bump your fire chance up to 14, you're definitely looking up around 14 point something and some change for fires per minute. This ship is a flamethrower, and it is very, very competitive. Not to mention that this ship did receive some little changes here and there by Wargaming in their infinite wisdom and generosity. They decided to give some turrets, I believe, was it 360 degrees ability to turn 360 degrees. I'm not 100% sure on that though. I'll definitely comment it on the video, as it's kind of like skipping my mind here as we're going on in port. But there was some changes made. The big changes though were to the Cleveland and Seattle, and obviously the Worcester. But I believe the Helena did get some as well, making an already strong Helena even more strong. Which is great. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I think from a balancing standpoint, this isn't tipping the scales for Tier 7 balance by any means. I think it's a welcomed buff, and I really do like to see it that Wargaming is going back to older lines to kind of rejuvenate them, give them a little kick in the butt to bring them up to present day. Personally, I'd rather it be the opposite. I'd rather them take the new ships and dial them back into the realms of reality in regards to World of Warships reality. But again, I understand they need to make sales, so I need to make ships look enticing to spend a shit ton of money in early access in the premium store. But enough talking about the whole politics and marketing strategies of Wargaming. Let's just do what we always do here, guys, and talk about the Helena, delve under the hood, talk about it a little bit, give some tips and tricks, and then I will go ahead and show you some not bad gameplay in her, honestly. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to look at the armor layout. You do retain that 16 millimeter schnoz and that 16 millimeter ass, just like the ship before you in the Dallas. With also that basically 16 millimeters of, I would say, hull in general, with the exception being obviously the Citadel belt or the armor belt, which is obviously going to be the which is going to count towards Citadel ribbons, which you're clocking in at 127 millimeters of effective Citadel belt armor there, above the water Citadel as well. So the thing can get punished, though I do find the Helena, it is lower to, like a lower profile. The Citadel is lower in the water, and again, I mentioned this, I believe, in the Omaha video, and I mentioned this in the Dallas video. I'm going to mention it now because these are the ships that I think troll me the most. The Cleveland's up there too, but like, let's be honest, I think tier for tier, this is the ship that trolls me the most. Do not aim when you're firing at the Boise and or the Helena. Do not aim under the front turrets. You will get no Citadel ribbons. This has cost me multiple times, especially when I am a very low HP target and a Helena is coming around the island, and I unleash a salvo right to where I think his Citadel should be, and I get nothing but overpens. You have to shoot under the Conning Tower Bridge smokestacks to just in front of the rear turrets when you're looking at its side profile, or you will not get any Citadel ribbons, guys. It's cost me multiple times, especially in a ranked format. It's cost me. and it's cost my team games. So I'm trying to spread some infinite wisdom here and let you know that you please, please, please hold your fire until you see that profile. Okay? Not this, because it can peek its guns around and fire with immunity around islands. But you have to wait till it shows past the tower, and boom, you will Citadel her. So keep that in the back of your mind as we talk about her. Going into some of her general stats in regards to her survivability, we are clocking in at 33,300. This is identical to that of the Boise with a 4% torpedo belt reduction. Again, you're a light cruiser. You have the tools to completely dodge torpedoes. You should not be eating torpedoes realistically, and you don't want to be eating torpedoes. So please use caution. And you have the maneuverability to reliably dodge incoming torpedoes. Obviously, aerial torpedoes, a little bit different story, but ship-launched torpedoes, you should be able to dodge the vast majority of them. Going to the artillery, which are these 5x3 152 millimeter guns. Now, this is the bread and butter of the Helena, and this is why you play her. A lot of ships in the game have to wait till tier 8, even tier 10, to get access to 15 guns. Ships that come to mind: 155 millimeter Mogami, Venezia, right? Just to name a couple. You get them down at tier 7, okay? And this is awesome. This is a lot of firepower, and it can drive a lot of ships' HP pools plummeting, as you will see in a lot of the replays that I have for you guys. Will absolutely melt ships. As you know, her HE, I believe, can pen 26 millimeters with these 152s, which is more than enough for cruisers. So enemy cruisers especially, like, I think the fires are the biggest threat to enemy battleships, realistically. But for destroyers and cruisers, man, just the sheer amount of volume of shells coming at your ship, you're going to be hit. Not only are they going to be starting fires on you, but they will be doing raw pen damage as well, which is going to make your HP pool go plummeting down to 0 so fast. But talking about her artillery, as you saw, her gun firing angles are kind of wonky. It depends, especially that 3 turret right there. This one is a little funky. As you can see, it's facing at like standard or stock. It's facing back towards conning tower. A lot of ships have this, as they can rotate out. It turns like the opposite way. I think the most iconic ship in the game for this is like the Izumo at tier 9, the IGN battleship. Just keep that in mind. You're going to be showing a fair amount of side to get your turrets all to bear. So there's going to be a lot of times that you find that I'm actually just firing 2, maybe 3 turrets at a time, just because getting my 5th turret, my 3rd turret online is a little bit harder, as you saw from the gun firing angles previously in the video. But reloading in 8.5 seconds, which is super nice. Really good DPM. I believe we're clocking out for our HE DPM. Let me just double check. Yeah, so our AP DPM on the Helena is 338,824, while our HE DPM is 232,941. Pretty respectable numbers, guys. If I'm not mistaken, if we go to all tier 7 cruisers in the game in regards of DPM, like raw HE DPM, I think only the Atlanta and the Flint will top out above the Helena, which, like, the Atlanta is clocking in at 315,000 for AP and HE. But then again, those are 127, so the reliability of those guns for doing raw pen damage to a lot of, some cruisers and a lot of battleships is very null and void. So it's about all that effective DPM, realistically speaking, right? And I think that you're going to get just better results because those are both 127 mils out of the 152s here from the Helena. So realistically speaking, the Helena is going to have the best DPM at tier 7. In my experience, that's what I've seen and what I've done. Also, the hull's a little bit better. It's not as fragile compared to that of the Atlanta and the Flint. So that's always nice as well. The 180-degree turn time is 22.5 seconds. Now, interesting enough, I believe the Boise actually gets faster turrets turning at 18 seconds. This is like 22.5, right? So again, just a little bit compensation back and forth, pros, cons. I like it. It's good balance. Thank you. The dispersion values on the ship. When we talk about the dispersion values, obviously you have your standard 2.0 sigma. We're just going to clock it up to about 15 kilometers because it's 14.6, so it's around that range. Your horizontal dispersion is clocking in at 137 millimeters, and then your vertical dispersion is 83. Obviously, it says here is 24, obviously because I have the aiming systems mod enabled. Very nice, very nice. You're going to get about 105.9 shells a minute downrange, which is great compared to the Boise, which reloading in 10 seconds, only getting about 90 shells in it downrange. You can definitely see the difference, the big step up in regards to that DPM, guys. Very respectable, very, very respectable. Obviously, clocking in at the 14.6 kilometer range where the Boise is only retaining 13.6. So it loses a whole kilometer to pick up that super heel. And it is reloading slower as well. HE is clocking in at the maximum damage is 2200 with a 13% chance to start a fire. Obviously, demo expert, both flags. I think you can get it up to 15, I want to say, percent, which is very, very lethal. Like I already talked to you guys about the fire chance. I already talked to you about the fires per minute. This thing will be lighting targets ablaze nonstop. You could penetrate 25 millimeters. I don't know why I said 26. Maybe German 105s are stuck in my head. I'm not 100% sure. But the one thing to note about these shells is, like you've seen with the Dallas, like you've seen with the Omaha, and realistically everywhere down the line, the shells are floaty. You're going to have to factor that in when leading your targets. And I think a big nemesis to ships like these are ships that are breaking 35, 36 knots. The Ultrich line with the speed boost. God forbid you fight Soviet DDs at range or French DDs at range going, 50, 55 knots. I mean, it is going to be a pain in the ass. You'd just be better off trying to go dark and waiting for them to get closer to you rather than trying to open water, or shoot back at them at 14, 15 kilometers, guys, because you're not going to hit them. You're really not going to hit them. I mean, as long as they have hands and a brain, they're going to be dodging your shells. And it's going to be wasted salvos, and you're just going to stay lit, and it's going to allow you to, farm more damage on you for free while keeping you spotted for the rest of their team. So again, tactics, we'll go over that later on in the video, but just a little side note to keep in mind in the back of your mind as well. Going into the armor piercing of the Helena, 3200 AP damage. Again, a little bit slow. We're kind of seeing this trend with this line, and I don't think it changes. The AP is a little bit slower in regards to the initial velocity of the shells with 762 meters a second. Again, this isn't something to be too infatuated with or something to really wrap your brain around, because usually you're going to be switching to armor piercing when you're in closer and tighter anyways, as these are 152s, not the 203s. So really, the armor piercing isn't that initial shell velocity isn't a really big factor. It's going to be very comparable to your HE shells, especially when you're in those close ranges. So again, don't pay mind to that number. Should not be a problem for you guys. Going into the secondary batteries, which you have the 4x2, these 127s. These are just littered around the ship, just like all American cruisers have these 127 millimeter kind of like dual purpose mounts. You'll see this, it really just adds their AA. It's not really there for secondary purposes, even though the occasional fire here and there will happen, and a little bit of damage, but it's mainly there for anti-aircraft. Because we gain those instead of getting torpedoes. Is basically the whole mentality I think that the Americans had, which again, I'm not complaining. I don't really need torpedoes. They're nice to have, but I don't really need them on my American light cruisers. So with the 127 mounts, you have a maximum range of 5.9, reloading in 6 seconds, damage of 1800, 6% fire chance, 21 millimeters of armor penetration. And again, the shell velocity doesn't really matter because you're not the one aiming them. It's an automated mechanism. So you have them. Congrats. We have the depth charge airstrike. We finally get 2 attack planes. I think instead of 1. We still only dropped the 1 bomb though, which sucks. I don't think we get access to the 2 bombs per 1 attack run until tier 8. Again, just standard, 3,400 damage, 1 bomb in the payload, maximum range is 6 kilometers. Again, I wouldn't say you're really there to fight enemy submarines, but you're there definitely. You can support. Just because you have shorter ranges and usually hugging islands, submarines will try to get around and shoot those island camping cruisers just like this one, and that's when your ASW does come into effect. As long as you have good DDs and you have good submarines or aircraft carriers that can spot those subs for you, you go ahead and you can definitely bring the pain. It's going to be more so imperative at top tier to do so, as submarines definitely take a big jump from tier 6 to tier 8 in regards of their strength. But definitely tier 6 subs, really nothing to concern yourself about. They are a little bit of annoying, but you should make short work of them. Tier 8 and tier 10 though, I mean, God forbid you fight a tier 8 sub, and it's a little bit more tricky. You're gonna have to use a little bit more brain power, guys. So, and again, it all depends. Again, this is the dumbest argument out there, but it all depends on the player who is playing the submarine rather than just the sub itself. So A defense, and this is definitely worth talking about. I know sometimes I usually just skip around the AA and go, oh, that's fucking shit, A shit, blah, blah, blah. So the A on the Helena is actually not terrible. With a continuous damage of 217 on this guy, his long range is 5.8 kilometers. Long range DPS is clocking in at 6.9. Medium DPS with a range of 3.5 is 180, and the short range of 2 kilometers is 113. Flat count, I believe, is 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 3. Again, that can be buffed with certain captain skills, which I obviously recommend to go up to 4. The plane can shred. Obviously, you have defensive AA and Hydro in separate slots, so you're automatically going to get access to defensive AA in every single one of your battles, which is going to be super, super useful for this ship, as it's more so not necessarily about aircraft carriers striking you. I mean, at the end of the day, if they want you dead, you're going to die. But it's one of those things that if you're behind an island and the aircraft carrier wants to strike targets behind you, they're going to have to fly over you or definitely go around you, which again is time. And time translates to survivability for other ships, because the longer it takes for that carrier to strike another target, it theoretically gives you guys more time to reposition and pick your next moves accordingly. That's really the only counter we have to it, with the occasional flak burst that shreds a squadron. So I really wouldn't count on A too much in a whole. But the Helena can definitely shred. It can make short work of tier 6 carriers. Tier 8 carriers, on the other hand, it's going to struggle with. I'm sure you guys knew that or could assume that. But yes, it can indeed shoot down planes. It's one of those things where it might be a deterrence for bad CB players. For good CB players, they're going to get the initial strike off on you, but depending how long they're in your aura, you will shoot down a couple more planes, theoretically affecting their reserves, unless it's a tactical squadron, which doesn't go towards the CB's reserves anyways, because that was a brilliant balancing decision by Wargaming. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the tactical squadrons, how they're implemented into the game. I think it's very, very much retarded and one-sided. Going into the maneuverability of the ship, we are clocking in at 34. I want to make, no, okay, 32.5 knots. So I must still have the damn Sierra Mike flag on. Sorry about that. Turning circle radius of 680 meters with a rudder shift time of 9.1 seconds. I do recommend taking the prop mod in slot 4, as you are island wanking a lot more with these style of ships. Potentially the smoke screens people are going to lay for you, allies or whatever are going to lay for you. The start and stop time is going to be more influential and more important for you, rather than how fast you can turn in or out, personally. And 9.1 is not bad. You can pre-plan your maneuvers accordingly. I think you're fine with that. No big deal. Going into the concealment, you are clocking in at 11.5 kilometers base, but I believe if you do get the commander on there, like I slot here, you are going down to 10.4 kilometers. With a detectability after firing main guns in smoke is going down to 5.6. So smoke firing is obviously a factor, but you have way, way, way more leeway, as you have 152s and you are a light cruiser. So the smoke firing penalty isn't as bad. Realistically, the thing that I find myself when I get spotted in smoke with the Helena and light cruisers in general, it's either radar or submarines. It's not even DDs necessarily anymore within my detection, because I know how to pre-plan my ship knowing where the enemy destroyers are. It's mainly the damn subs. So as long as you know kind of where they're at, the general vicinity, you can plan your moves accordingly. And obviously, I don't have to say this, in your smoke screen, constantly move. Go a quarter or half speed up, then hit the brakes and reverse a little bit. You want to constantly move in your smoke, because it's a lot easier for battleship players and cruiser players, especially those who have higher velocity shells, with the spotter plane, to pinpoint exactly where you are in smoke and nuke the shit out of you. So just keep that in mind. You want to constantly stay moving within your smoke screen. So. And that's the Helena in a nutshell, guys. Honestly, it is a fun ship. The Omaha I thought was good, but I think it's very underrated. I think it's a good ship if you know what you're doing, especially experienced players going back and playing it. Originally grinding through it, pretty ass, because I don't think you're ready yet for the game to experience the Omaha. That's why hopefully that review helps you. The Dallas is good. This is better. We're gonna keep climbing up the tiers. Ships will incrementally keep getting better and better and better. Obviously, the toughest review in this whole line is going to be the Seattle, because I have some opinions on the Seattle that I definitely want to share with you guys, and then maybe hear your feedback on it. But as you know, this line it's good. It's a well done, well balanced line. I wish Wargaming would release more lines with this kind of same mentality. Not necessarily same play style, but same mentality. Um, and it's a fun ship. So the Helena, enough talking about her in port. Let's go see some gameplay and talk about her with some tips and tricks, guys. Alrighty then, guys. So here we are in battle. Well, it's actually the first battle with the Helen I have to show you. I actually have two battles I'm going to show you, and I actually know I haven't showed a. Oh, I've done a video with two battles in one when I'm doing an analysis review, but I felt like this was a kind of a necessary one to do because it is highlighting a tier that can be extremely rewarding, where you find yourself, one day you're getting top tier all the time. And then another game that is showing when you're basically bottom tier or struggling and going against tier 8s a lot. So I feel like this is good because it goes through both kind of what to expect, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So I think the first one is the tier 9 game, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and as you can see, the first thing I'm doing here, what is this, hotspot, if I'm not mistaken? I don't even know. I don't even know what map this is. Trap, maybe. We're going to be heading to that island right there. Without a question, I think these like this line and like the Worcester line does a hell of a job, not only supporting allied ships, but really supporting caps. Playing around capture points is what these ships do very well. Um, and I don't think going by yourself or on your own in a flank, is the way to play these ships. I know I've talked about that with some of the premium ships I've talked about. Like the Blucher, for example, is one of my later ones that I think that ship is kind of more like a lone wolf, so to speak, or can get away with a little bit more. A Soviet DD, as I said, a little bit more of like why don't go to the capture points. It's more of a lone wolf, so to speak, of DDs. Or if you're with an allied destroyer on your flank, that's when you say fuck the lone wolf shit. We're actually going to support our destroyer as that second line destroyer support ship. So it all depends. Also, side note, the submarine, no idea what he's doing. I don't know why the sub would go right next to the island. Obviously, there's going to be torpedoes coming flying around this island. They always are. This is what happens in this map, and he's just going to put himself in that situation while on the surface, but with a chance to potentially eat those torpedoes. And survey says, look at this. It's like I can read the future, guys. It's like I don't understand some of these players, man. I really don't understand these players. Like someone who dabbles in submarines, like I don't mind them. I'll play them here and there. Do I think they're necessarily good for the game? No. But I dabble with them. Like, let's use a brain here. And then with all that, he's getting depth charge too, so he's pretty much almost dead. Hopefully, hope to God he has adrenaline rush to get something out of that, all the HP he lost, but I wouldn't bank on it. So. But notice I'm using the island to my advantage here. The Kearsarge, you have to be careful though, because he does have the planes that can spot for him, and he does have the floatier shells. He can lob those over and potentially hit me, so I'm definitely watching his guns and making sure that I'm not putting myself in a too vulnerable of a position. But then I realize there's a juicier target that's so concerned with other ships at B that I'm going to reverse a little bit and begin to farm this FDG here. As a light cruiser player, a light cruiser enjoyer, a cruiser enjoyer, as a light cruiser player, I love it when German battleships just think they're going to be invincible and push. Side note, German BBs, rather like other than the Schlieffen line, if you're building full secondaries, I think you're just actively trolling not only yourself but your team. It just cannot be done anymore, guys. And I think it's stupid. I will be releasing a down the line series of the Poison. Because I know I've seen nothing but Reddit posts about, oh, are German BBs even viable? Is it even worth doing German BBs? They suck. They need a buff. Listen, I just think it's not necessarily the ships that need a buff. I just think it's the player base that needs the buff. If any ship needs a buff, it's the fucking Grosser Kerr first, okay? The GK, man, that thing has been power crept into the ground where I think most people, if not unanimously, think that the Grosser Kerfuss is the worst tier 10 BB in the game. I know one person who believes it's one of the best, which is Spherical, and I laugh at him hysterically, but somehow he manages to get I mean, guys, I'm talking phenomenal games in her, which is possible if you know what you're doing. But he like consistently gets phenomenal games. So when we do the review on the Grosser Kerfers, I will make sure to have him hop on and talk a little bit about his mentality and what he believes is the right way to play that ship, because the community, I don't think, knows, and we're still stuck in 2016 when that thing could just go right in and absolutely devastate a flank, right? So those days are long gone. But yeah, going back on the Helena guys here. So, you know, your best friend with these ships in the Helena and then all these ships down the line, going down to the Worcester, is your team. You got to stick with your team, and this is why I'm actually leaving the flank. Usually I'm not a big fan, but judging on who's ahead of me and who they still have on their flank, I think it would be dumb for me to stay hugging this island awaiting my death. Obviously, there's a submarine that's going to chase me out and kill me if I don't leave now. There are destroyers. There's a Kearsarge who's going to keep launching his planes. I have to leave and regroup with my team. Again, notice how I'm slowing down here. The Kronstadt has phenomenal shell velocity, so he can't get his shells over those islands, but I can. Obviously, he goes off detection, and I'm still radared, so it's like, fuck it. His attention seems to be kind of drawn more towards whoever's in the middle of the map, which I love to see as a light cruiser player. He burns for 60 seconds like a battleship, so fuck it. I'm going to bring the absolute pain on him of 15 American Freedom 152s raining down on him, which I should be starting fires nonstop. I would say, oh, look at this DD. Like, fella. Know the map. Read the map. I was well detected. I don't know if he thinks he's going to come around and nuke me or something, but like a 6K salvo. Slow down. Yeah, definitely try to smoke up, though, for sure. But there's another 4K salvo. Yeah. I don't know where he's going to go. His engine's broken, so he's still going to drift a little bit. Blind fire exactly where he was last spotted in smoke, and boom. Like 3 salvos, guy's decimated, right? This is what this thing does and what it can do. So if you're in a destroyer player, here's a tip for you. Don't do that. I don't think that is the play. I mean, if I was like 2,000 HP, I kind of would understand the guy comes around with using his guns, but he didn't use his guns once. I was still very much full HP, and he used his torpedoes. Like, if that doesn't scream typical Shimakaze line torpedo boat destroyer player of 2025, I don't know what does, guys. All I think is that if we utilize our brain a little bit more, we could probably realize that that was a dumb decision, because now there goes our DD problem. So again, this is another hilarious little, like, I don't understand what the Seattle's doing here. He's launching AP at me at ranges. Again, his AP is not going to do much. And again, I've talked about it too. The Helena gets it, the Seattle gets it. It actually gets that like improved fuse time of like the 0.010 seconds rather than the 0.025 that most light cruisers get. So it's like shorter fused AP, but it's not like the short fused AP that like the Mino gets with this 0.005 or something like that, right? So he's just sticking with armor piercing at ranges. So you could see how the AP, like, unless he gets the occasional superstructure hit, which shouldn't be relatively that hard. I mean, the Helena has a decent amount. He's not really doing too much damage. And I'm just sticking with the HE, and I'm melting him. Absolutely melting him. He's coated in, what, 25 millimeters of armor? Pretty much almost everywhere. Which is more than enough for me to pen, and I'm pretty much bending this guy over. And he has the heal. Now, I do feel confident that if it was a 1v1, I think I could take him. Obviously, our Jaeger does exactly what I said not to do, but again, kind of read the map, read the room. He's right point blank range. The Jaeger has 12 torpedoes that travel relatively fast. I think he has this one in the bag. Personally, I wouldn't do this, but it ends up working in our favor, and I think he gets him low enough that I end up killing him, or he floods him out with the occasional torpedo. I'm not 100% sure, but again, still shooting AP at 13 kilometers. I don't understand the thought process here. Quite interesting, matter of fact, if I might add. Shooting AP at our Jaeger now, interesting. Yeah, the guy shot HE. There's a pretty damn good chance our Jaeger would be toast, and it wouldn't even have the chance to engage the enemy Jaeger, who now I'm switching with to fire at as well. Now, another tip I want to give to the player base out there who is playing these ships. Ships with floatier shell, nice, first off. Floatier shell velocity ships, like this ship, the Minotaur, the Colbert, not really the Smolensk, but like the Colbert. Do us a favor and zoom out one of your aiming reticle. I feel like a lot of people stay fully zoomed in, just do one roll on your mouse wheel out and get used to seeing smaller targets and aiming. It is going to make your life so much easier to play these ships and lead appropriately, and you're going to land more shells. It's a tactic. You got to use it, guys. I mean, you don't have to, but it's a tip that is I've found that has allowed my light cruiser gameplay to be even elevated more so, and it's something that I wish I would have done way back in the day, 2016, 2017, 2018. And I wasn't. I was staying fully zoomed in. Just zoom out one notch, guys. It's not hard, and you're gonna hit your targets better. Big deal. You get to see little smaller targets. It's not a big deal, but it is one tip I cannot stress enough for you guys. Now, I believe if you use the dynamic crosshairs, it kind of already does this for you, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't like the dynamic crosshairs, so I just zoom out one notch and see smaller targets. It's not a big deal, guys. And it allows me to hit the target more, see more of the battle, so to speak. It just feels more comfortable using my gun at ranges like this. So, but yeah, definitely a tip I cannot stress enough to you guys. Jaeger doing another flyby with the red beam to the heavens. Good to see. Love to see that. And then now we just have the pesky little sub to deal with, who is obviously in this vicinity. We know we've seen his ping markers on the minimap, and we've seen his ping markers on the ocean surface. So we know he's still operating in this area. So we're just going to go ahead and close the distance with our hydroacoustic search active here in a little bit. Obviously blind firing the water where we believe he's on periscope depth to still see targets. It's a good tactic to utilize, guys. When you're closer, if you get spotted, then you can for sure confirm that he is on the surface. But it's just something that I usually do, especially with the mod I utilize. I can kind of see where he was when he made his ping. And obviously the salmon has that kind of circle jerking gameplay where he goes and launches his four like through the nose torpedoes, then he turns and launches his four off the ass. It just constant circle jerk. It's a tactic that a lot of these agile submarines with torpedo tubes on the ass and front utilize. You just got to know again who you're fighting, like which submarine you're fighting, and look at a direct hit with the depth charges. So he thinks he's going to launch me, like if I don't have my hydroacoustic search up and operating, and there he is. And I believe our battleship player, right? No, the Buffalo smokes him for the boys here. So that was always nice. Great result for our first battle. Being a bottom tier, I think we utilized the minimap well. We targeted specific targets. Did we get a little bit lucky? Yeah, the DD kind of threw himself at us, and the Seattle definitely didn't help the cause by shooting AP at like 13, 14 kilometers, but I digress. Great result for battle number 1. So, on to battle number 2. We are, I believe, it actually might be, is it just tier 8? I think it's just tier 8. So again, we're showing what it's like to be up-tiered. Again, 1 up tier I have no problem with. +2, -2 matchmaking kind of bites ass. I'm not really a big fan, but whatever. It's something that I just don't think is ever really going to change, sadly, but I can dream, can I? Just kind of showing you the power that this ship has, because I'm showing you and I'm having good results in games where I'm going against, top tier ships, tier 8s, tier 9s, and I'm doing reliably good work at those tiers as well. I did play a couple, I found myself top tier, a lot of tier 7 games, and I actually didn't get as good of results in those games as I did when I was playing top tier. Now, obviously, I understand you get the XP modifier. I understand that you get a little bit of help from wargaming with your XP as your low tier ships, right? But I just found myself making more rash, bold decisions when I'm top tier because I get my hubris, my overconfidence gets in the way. And I think it is something that you're going to find yourself doing if you find yourself in top tier games. So just don't do that. Yeah, that game I might have gotten 2, 3 DD kills, but it's still, I'm dead. So it's like, well, yeah, I took those chips with me, but it's like I'd much rather survive. And probably those DD kills would have happened if I would have been a little bit more patient 2, 3 minutes later. So another thing, just like don't get overconfident in the ship, especially when you're top tier. You are still a light cruiser and you are only human. So, that is another great tip. A lot of these stronger ships, I can see a lot of players, being inevitable and invincible with this mindset, right? And they just go in and they die. You don't need to do that. You definitely don't need to do that. But if you like that mentality, then maybe consider the Boise as a premium option. I think she's good. I think she's very underrated in this game. A lot of people think, oh, she's shit, she's trash because she has 13.6 kilometer range. Blah, blah. She has a fucking super heal. You could take chances with her. She's a fucking super fun ship to play. And I'll get down the road. I'll have to get to a review on that thing because I think, yeah, very underrated ship in my opinion. So. But yeah, obviously, first thing first, game starts, we go to an island, and we start lobbing shells over said island. It's a tactic. You got to utilize this tactic. I would say the only time this tactic is going to change is if you're in the fucking ocean map. You spawn on a flank that really doesn't have an island, or if you have a DD division mate or DD that is generous enough to drop you a smoke screen, then you could be a little bit different. Obviously, if my DD, if we had one on this flank, would lay it for me and say, hey, set a smoke screen, he dropped it for me, I can get up there 12 kilometers, 13 kilometers away from this guy and free farm and hit, mostly all my shelves instead of being out here towards my max range, one notch out on my aiming reticle and hoping to spam some HE here. So it's just something you have to factor depending on your teammates. And it sucks because you are a very team-oriented cruiser. You have a lot of carry potential, but I think your survivability goes up or down. And this is pretty generic with all ships. I can't just say this for this ship, but it does go up or down depending on your teammates and if they're willing to coordinate and work with you. And again, I mean, as a DD2, I can't just sit here, or as a DD player, I can't just tell you, hey, drop every time you see an American light cruiser, drop a smoke screen. Like, that's not true either. And if the guy doesn't ask, it's like, how do you know to do that? And if you don't ask him, he doesn't respond, like, it's just all about team coordination. And like this game is tries to portray itself as a team oriented game, and it's really not. And I think it just comes down to the player base. I think if you coordinate your maneuvers, yeah, you'll get vastly superior results. But the problem is, I would say the vast majority of the time, no one's talking other than chirping each other in all chat, and it's always comical when you're not involved with it, but we've all been there. We all get heated. It happens. I've obviously trying to get better at not, exploding in chat. For sure. If anything, I just have fun with it nowadays. But yeah, it's just something you gotta pay mind to. So, but obviously we know. I think this is a Florida, if I'm not mistaken. It's hard to see. I can't really see it that too well. Florida. With his 356 millimeter guns, I'm not really too concerned about. I don't think he can overmatch me. Well, maybe he can because I only have 16 millimeters of nose. 60 millimeters of armor. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, we're trying to be aggressive enough where we can reliably hit our shells and keep these guys spotted. Because again, if they're shooting back at me, that means they're available for my Colorado to shoot. Obviously, I didn't realize at the time my Colorado just is spamming HE, which is ridiculous. I think sometime during the game, I say, hey man, like, you have 406 millimeter guns. I heard armor piercing is pretty good. I think I do say that. It's kind of like a smart ass comment, but no reply. You know what I mean? I'm just hoping to tell people, like, you have 406s. You could bend this New Orleans over in your Colorado. Just load the AP, my guy. I don't know. It's like this mentality of HE, like, because they've been HE spammed, they feel like they have to do it in return. And it's like, that's just not how it's supposed to go. Like, HE spamming battleships don't, just because you're getting big damage numbers with HE and all this like fires and witherer and arsonist, does it translate to you winning more games? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, like, you should care about your own personal performance, but you should care about if your team wins. That's kind of the objective, as everyone does get XP and credit modifiers if you win. And yeah, I will stand by that. HE damage, raw damage, and damage numbers, it does not translate to you winning. I know some players, content creators, all they're about is getting those massive 300, 400,000 damage games, which are exhilarating and is fun. Absolutely, you can toot your own horn and be like, dude, look at me, I'm fucking unreal. But like, that's not me. I don't really care for that. Like, if I have a good game, absolutely, I would love to share it with you guys and kind of break it down, my thought process. But it's like, I don't go into games thinking, hey man, I really, really want to get these high damage games. That's all I give a fuck about. No, I very much care about winning, and that's what's fun. winning is fun, losing sucks, especially when you go on those losing streaks when it's like 10 losses in a row. We've all been there. I remember back in the day, I think I had like 10 losses in a row in my Kaba when I was playing that thing, because I love Kaba. You guys know that. Oh my God, that was incredibly frustrating. I was like, yep, we're done for the night. So I think I had to pull myself a cold one, and I was like, fuck it, I'm out. Play a different game. So we've all been there. So just a little side note, but going back to the Helena, I know I keep getting distracted. Two videos, two games, it's a lot. And I get sidetracked a lot talking and ranting and discussing various other things. But you know, it's fun. It makes it entertaining. But at the end of the day, guys, the Helena is an excellent support cruiser. The HE is fearsome, as you're seeing this Cashelot is experiencing in full force. AA is not terrible. It's not like really to write home about. Like, we're not talking Cleveland levels of AA, but its AA is certainly respectable enough that it can do some work. So keep that in mind as well. You want to use islands to your advantage for two reasons. One, you have the high shell velocity, or like the low shell velocity, I think is what the term is. Floaty shells, right? That you can shoot over the island. It actually is an advantage. A lot of players will think this is a disadvantage, and I think it's a lot of players that don't know how to aim consider it a downfall, which I get. It is harder to land your shells on target, but when you start getting better at the game, you can utilize this to a massive advantage. Usually, ships that have those floaty ass shells will translate to faster firing ships. That's kind of Wargaming's compensation mechanic. And if you can master the art of aiming with that, oh my God, the damage will rack up, and you'll do a lot of damage when it comes to that. And it'll be more fun for you because you're actually doing like meaningful. You're not just spewing HE that's hitting the ocean surface. You're actually hitting the enemy ships and targets. So, and doing damage, causing havoc, that sort of stuff. Again, the art of the kite is present when you find yourself in an open water situation. You absolutely have to kite. Notice how I'm using my power, going from stop or reverse, whatever, all the way to full, half speed, whatever. This is tactics that I utilize. You should be utilizing to do your shell juking, basically keep him on his toes, to throw the aim system that Wargaming has kind of off kilter. And again, dodge. You don't want to go right ass out. You don't want that. You want to make sure that your side plating has some effect, because you can, at 30 degrees, get auto ricochets off belt. We've seen this. This is possible. You can absolutely do this. That's why you don't want to go directly nose in. You don't want to go directly ass in either. You want to, shuffle back and forth. It also is harder to aim where you want your shells to go. Sometimes, if people that don't know how to aim, and it happens for me too, your shells just go high because you're trying to factor out where they're turning, and it happens. Obviously, this guy's getting frustrated because I keep ricocheting his AP, so he switches to HE and actually does more damage. With a 12 gunned battleship like the Florida, and a high explosive chance, that's pretty damn good. I think if he would have stuck with HE there, he probably would have done more damage. Not saying that was the play. I'm just saying because his gun caliber is lower, he can't like thoroughly overmatch me effectively, like 380s or 406s. He might have just been better off switching to HE for that engagement. But hey, we're thankful and grateful that he didn't. But yeah, I mean, again, another great battle, really highlighting what this ship does well in multiple situations. Really an ultimate team play ship. If you're choosing the Worcester line, you are really emphasizing team utility and team play over personal gain. And it's a very selfless cruiser line. And I stand by that. Is it competitive? Yeah, absolutely. I think Tier 8, you always see Cleveland's and Baltimore's, well, not only Baltimore, but Cleveland's being played all the time, right? It is, and it's a great ship. You see Al Montpellier as well, the AL Azure Lane. So, it's just they're very good at what they do, and that is team support. And they're very versatile cruisers as well. I don't think I've talked about that enough with these ships. From HE to AP, from radar, from stealth, from hydroacoustic search, from their anti-aircraft, from their anti-submarine warfare, they can do it all. They really truly are the workforce on the battlefield. And I think DD players, like myself, love it when you have a competent American light cruiser player, because they know where to position their ship. They know how to be effective in a team setting and support you and really give you the advantage against enemy destroyers. So a well-played American light cruiser is a force to be reckoned with. Really and truly is. So as you know, here comes 15 shells coming in to say how you doing to the Gallant, and we end up picking up the kill for what, 3 kills this game for 109,000 damage. Again, being thrown in a tier 8 game, which is awesome. So as this video is winding down, guys, I just want to say I love the Helena. Hopefully these tips and tricks, you guys take this to heart and you get really, really good results in her as I did. So anyways, I will catch you all in the next video, guys. Alrighty, peace out.